The morning sun peeked through the leaves of the whispering woods, painting the forest floor with gentle spots of light. It was a peaceful day, just like any other, until a curious sound drifted through the trees. Chippy, the chipmunk, whose ears were always twitching for new sounds, stopped nibbling on his acorn. He tilted his head, listening intently to a distant, rushing noise he had never heard before. A spark of excitement lit up his eyes. "What is that sound?" he whispered to himself, his little nose twitching with curiosity. The sound wasn't scary. It was musical, like a giant, steady sigh from the heart of the forest. He knew, right then and there, that he had to find its source. An adventure was calling. Unable to contain his excitement, Chippy scurried off to find his friends. First he found Bunny, who was busy arranging wildflowers near his burrow. Then, he chattered up a tall oak to get Squirrel. And finally, he chirped for Little Bird, who was preening her feathers on a high branch. Once the group was assembled, Chippy explained the mysterious sound, and soon they were all buzzing with anticipation. Together, they ventured deeper into the woods, following the growing roar. The trees around them seemed to grow taller and older, their branches weaving a thick canopy overhead that softened the sunlight into a magical green-tinted glow. "It sounds like water," Bunny explained, her long ears pointing forward. "Lots and lots of water." The air grew cooler, and smelled of damp earth and moss, adding to their sense of adventure. The path soon became more challenging, changing from soft soil to a jumble of moss-covered rocks near a small, gurgling stream. The stones were slick with moisture, making the crossing tricky. Chippy, ever the careful leader, went first and found a steady path. He turned back and held out a tiny paw to help Bunny hop from one slippery stone to the next. "Careful now," he said reassuringly. A moment later, Squirrel, who was always a bit too hasty, leaped onto a particularly smooth rock, and his feet went right out from under him. He did a funny little spin before catching his balance at the last second, letting out a relieved giggle. The friends all laughed together, the small moment of tension breaking into shared amusement. It was a reminder that even tricky parts of an adventure could be fun when they faced them as a team. After carefully navigating the slippery terrain, they followed the sound around one last bend. The dense trees suddenly opened up, and the friends all stopped in their tracks, their mouths falling open in awe. Before them was a breathtaking hidden waterfall, cascading down a high cliff face into a crystal-clear pool below. The water thundered down, sending a fine, cool mist into the air. As the sunlight streamed through the opening in the trees, it caught the mist just right, creating a vibrant, shimmering rainbow that arched over the pool. It was a sight more magical than anything they had ever imagined. The air vibrated with the power and beauty of the falls. "Wow," Chippy breathed, his voice full of wonder. "It's beautiful." They had found a true secret of the forest. As they stood admiring the magnificent view, a faint, desperate squeak cut through the roar of the water. "Help! Help me!" The friends looked around, their celebration turning to concern. Near the edge of the pool, they spotted a tiny green frog, wedged tightly between two heavy-looking rocks. Water from the pool splashed precariously close to him, and he was struggling to get free. The frog looked exhausted and scared. Chippy's mind raced. He knew they had to act quickly and carefully. This adventure had just taken an important turn. It was no longer just about discovery, but about helping someone in need. Without a second thought, Chippy rallied his friends. "We have to help him," he declared bravely. Together, they scurried over to the trapped frog. Chippy and Squirrel put their shoulders against one of the smaller stones, pushing with all their might. Bunny used her strong hind legs to nudge it from the other side, while Little Bird flew around, chirping instructions on the best angle. Slowly, carefully, they managed to shift the rocks just enough for the little frog to wiggle free. He hopped out, shaking but safe, and gave them a grateful croak. "Thank you, brave friends. You saved me," he chirped. Everyone cheered, their hearts swelling with pride and joy. Chippy smiled at his friends and said, "Adventure is better when we help others." With the little frog safe and sound, the friends spent the rest of the afternoon playing in the gentle spray of their newly discovered secret place. The rescued frog, whose name was Freddie, showed them the best spots to find shiny, smooth pebbles. They splashed in the shallow edges of the pool, and promised each other they would always protect this beautiful spot, keeping it clean and safe for all the forest creatures. As the sun began to set, casting a warm, golden glow over the scene. The camera slowly zooms out, showing the four friends and Freddy playing happily by the magical, thundering waterfall. A gentle voice narrates, "Sometimes the greatest treasures are not the places we find, but the courage and kindness we discover within ourselves along the way."